Well, if you notice, I changed my background. Well, I work in the insurance industry and gender is not an issue. Just like any person, a lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning persons is not an issue when it comes to healthcare. We can be an ally, and it's not prejudice since the word ally doesn't have a gender as well. So, as promised, my program will offer help, and help must be for everyone, no matter what their sexuality is. Today, I am so honored to have Chris Reynolds, a person that plays an important role in the health of LGBTQ community or the center. He is called the Navigator, and we will learn a lot of his important role and how he helps the LGBTQ community, especially when it comes to health. For my Medicare, find out if you qualify for Medicare. And for my Healthy Senior segment, I found a video that will remind you of the 5 foods to avoid if you have diabetes. Well, I received some calls requesting that I do Medicare Q&A segments, so starting this episode, I'm going to cover some questions asked to me by my clients. So, no matter what state are you from or what work you've done, you must transition to Medicare at a certain point in your life. MariaCare Senior Info Guide has a mission to bring Medicare information right to your home. I'm your host, Maria Garcia, a licensed sales agent here to assist you with your Medicare and senior concerns. We are broadcasting in Las Vegas, Nevada, a place full of entertainment. So come on, let's join hands to a better health.
With the many recent changes and focus on immigration law, now more than ever is the time to seek the help you need from an attorney you can trust. As an immigrant myself, I know the many difficulties and hardships involved in immigrating to this great country. With more than 10 years of experience in handling immigration cases, our firm can provide the necessary answers and solutions to your needs. Call Calderon Law today so we can work together to help you get the peace of mind you and your loved ones deserve.
We use headphones as a part of our everyday lives. Whether we're at work, getting exercise, meditating, in transit, studying, practicing, or relaxing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sway, the founder of AirCom. I would like to introduce the world's first wireless airflow audio earbuds. As a festival and a concert junkie, I really enjoy the live experience of being there and feeling the music. When we started developing Airflow, our goal was to reproduce that live experience using earbuds.
The problem with traditional headphones is that the speakers are located inside of the earpiece, literally giving you centimeters before the audio hits your eardrum.
What AirCom is doing, they're the first company to actually address the fact that there needs to be a space involved associated with having the sound waves expand fully.
The difference between traditional headphones and AirCom audio is that the air tube gives you 8 times more space, allowing the sound waves to fully develop before they actually hit your eardrums. And this gives it a much more live, natural sound, just like in a recording studio.
Real nice that someone actually addressed the physics associated with how sound comes out.
The challenge we had was to create an earbud with enough airspace for the sound to fully develop and breathe. Unfortunately, traditional earbuds are about the size of a jelly bean, and there's just not enough airspace. However, that changed when we developed Airflow Audio. Airflow uses an air tube to deliver 6 to 8 times more airspace than traditional earbuds. The end result is a true live listening experience, just like you're at a festival or a concert. We also added magnets to the back of the earpieces so you can wear it around your neck when you're not using it.
Being that the drivers are 8 inches from the earpiece, the magnets do not affect the integrity of the sound at all.
The orange line represents the frequency transmitting through the wire to the speaker, which then converts to the blue sound wave that develops more as it travels up the air tube, producing a balanced, full body and live listening experience.
Another really cool feature is that these earbuds are sweat-proof and water-resistant because they're coated with a super hydrophobic nanotechnology. So now you can be on a skateboard or riding a motorcycle and listen to music as if you were watching a live show or actually in a recording studio.
We're coming to you for help in bringing these unparalleled earbuds to market.
A dedicated person to his career has been serving the LGBTQ community for more than 30 years. A person considered as a pillar and serves an important role in the LGBTQ community. Well, I am pleased to welcome the navigator of the LGBTQ community, Chris Reynolds. Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Could you please welcome to my show?
Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Chris. So, Chris, could you please tell us a background of yourself and what you do with in the LGBTQ community?
So my name, of course, is Chris Reynolds. I'm the HIV Prevention Services Director for MariaCares7 Pharmacy, but I'm also the president of the Southern Nevada Health Consortium, which is a nonprofit here that provides free access to services and navigation to services throughout the Las Vegas Valley for those people that are underserved or have a lack of access to those services in certain parts of our community. I've lived here in Las Vegas for since the late 80s and have been working in the HIV and public health community for the last 34 years. So I've worked with a lot of the different organizations here for like the Gay and Lesbian Center of Southern Nevada. I've served on their board in the past. I've actually worked under a grant overseeing their clinic. They have a STI clinic that has grown tremendously since I was there many years ago. Very proud of them. And so we now kind of get the organizations to work together to kind of bring services to people so that we can kind of provide more services to more people.
Oh, that's good to know. So it's just like you're the bridge to all the
Right.
services they need. Yeah.
And so if people may be in an area where there's food insecurities, and so when we do our programs, our events, one of the things that we do is we work with 3 Square to make sure that we have food available to do food distribution at the events. As an example, February of this year, we did an event for National Black HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, and we distributed over 2,200 pounds of food for free. We always provide free HIV testing, vaccines, other services, linkage services. We had Nevada Legal Services there providing services. So we try to really kind of see what we can do for the community and kind of take it to the community instead of actually asking them to come into a physical space. We'll take it to them. So through either mobile units or through a health fair style event.
Or to their home too?
We don't necessarily work, not the consortium doesn't. I, in the past, have done that where I've actually went to people's homes to help them navigate services if they were homebound or if they had problems with transportation. Usually we try to figure out what the issues are for the person. So when I'm talking to them on the phone, I'll find out if they have transportation issues. Sometimes we can get them a Lyft or an Uber, or if they are able to take the bus, then or they feel more comfortable meeting at a closer location to their home.
Yes.
You know, we've met with people at the clinic. We've met with them at Starbucks, wherever they feel more comfortable meeting at. We do sometimes have been to people's homes to do that, but that's more of a case manager setting where we've met with a case manager to be able to help and answer those questions.
Got it. I see. So it's just like that too. It's like, you mean you also do assessment and you do it with
usually it involves a case manager, so we'll go with the case manager in case there's certain questions that the case manager may not know or need assistance with. We can help with that. And so a lot of times, so my role on the pharmacy side is working with patients to find out, okay, does that patient have insurance?
Yeah.
Do they need patient assistance programs? Do they need copay cards? And then I can be that bridge between the patient and the pharmacy. And then for clinics, being able to make sure they have that information too, to know that if they have a patient that comes in that asking questions that they may not be specializing in, that they now have a person they can reach out to directly for those questions. And especially for seniors, when you really think about it, you know, there's approximately 1.2 million people who are living with HIV in the United States right now. Over 50% of those people are over the age of 50. And they're saying that by 2030 that will be 70%. And so, you know, we do know that we're seeing increasing numbers in not only sexually transmitted infections, but in HIV in our senior population, because people, you know, either have gotten divorced or there may be a widow or re-entering the dating scene.
Yeah.
And sometimes they may not be comfortable asking their doctor those questions, and the doctor may not also be comfortable asking those questions if the doctor's like in their mid-late 30s but their patients are in their 60s and 70s asking them about their sex life and everything. And so it can be a little bit of embarrassment and shame there. And so we try to help with all of that.
Oh yeah, you try to match the doctor and the patient as well, like.
Yep, so we give patients, so instead of saying, oh, you need to go to this clinic, we'll give them options of where they can go. And we usually try to find out, like, what is the process? So if I'm going to refer a patient to this clinic, I need to know what the process is of that patient walking into the clinic. So I try to find out all of that so that when I'm working with a patient, I can say, you know, what area of town do you live in? These are the services that are around you, that are close to you. How would you like to make an appointment, or would you like me to help you make the appointment? And so we kind of go from there.
Yeah, that's very good to know, because yesterday I was trying to search and trying to see if I'm the patient. I'm an LGBTQ, and then I wanted to search something like about healthcare. I tried to search the web, and it's hard.
Yes.
That's why you play an important role.
Because it is limited here.
Yeah, that's why. No, because even if you put the zip code and if you put the city, no, I mean, it still goes to New Jersey, New York, other states other than Las Vegas. So I said, if I'm that person trying to get help, it's very hard. And that's why I said you play a very important role, especially when you said that you also have to, that doctor might be early 30s or late 30s, and then there's a patient 50s, and then it's just like they don't match. And so that you really have to play and bless your heart, Chris.
Because a lot of times what happens is when you're looking at the reason it comes from those bigger cities is those cities have had more access to larger providers. Like when you think about when you think about the LGBTQ community, a lot of people automatically think of San Francisco. And so it's an older community, and so it's a lot of things. And so there is a little bit of a limitation here. We already know that Nevada struggles with maintaining providers, doctors and stuff here, that they like to go to work in the bigger cities, and you know, that is a struggle here. And then when you come to a more specialized area, like LGBTQI care, then that can be limited too. We do have, you know, like the Gay and Lesbian Center of Southern Nevada, we refer to it as the center. The center has its own clinic now, and so they've had a testing clinic for a long time to just do HIV testing, but now it's actually a clinic where people can go and access services. And so people in the LGBTQ community may be more comfortable going to that because it's attached to an LGBTQ center.
The center, yeah.
The same thing in Henderson and in North Las Vegas, the wellness, it's called the Henderson Equality Center, and in North Las Vegas it's called the North Las Vegas Equality Center. It's a completely different organization than the center. They now have a clinic because it's about providing those services that are more comfortable for people. And then a clinic that just opened in January, it's called V, like the letter V, V Health Center. And they specialize in LGBTQI care, and it's downtown. And so when you look at the Las Vegas Valley and how spread out that is, the fact that two of your providers that have to do the largest LGBTQI care are basically blocks from each other. And then you have one in Henderson and one North Las Vegas. Well, what about the rest of the valley? And so we know that there's a need for that here. And so just trying to help navigate people to find out exactly what the person, because I'm very patient-centered. I want
Yeah.
to know what the patient wants and what's going to be best for the patient.
Yeah,
so when
of
we help with
course.
those navigation services.
Oh, I see. So actually for this episode, we will just discuss your role in helping the LGBTQ community, but good information you already provided. So many people use the term, actually just this, a little bit personal, but people might want to know. Like many people use the term coming out to refer to as the process of telling someone else how they identify in terms of their romantic orientation, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Coming out refers to the process that people who are LGBTQ go through as they work, they want to be accepted, their sexual orientation or gender identity, and share that identity. So, as a parent, for example, there are parents watching since they're seniors. And how can they accept their LGBTQ kids coming out that it's okay, it's fine, and that their son and daughter is just a normal person, normal human being? So what are your thoughts about that? How can you, like, for example, how how will they accept coming out, their child coming out?
Well, I think the difficulty is that it's a different generation, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
the
that's
views
why.
were very different. And so, just on a personal note, when I came out, when you think of the word "came out," no one comes out straight to their parents, because
Yes.
that doesn't say that it's right or wrong. It's just that that's what is more prevalent in society, that they won't, that's kind of expected. And so anytime that you're doing something different than what's expected is a coming out. And so, like for me, I grew up in a single parent home. I had my first job when I was 16. I graduated high school early to go into the military. Went into the military, came home after doing my service, was working construction, and then, basically my brother went by, there was a local gay bar there in town, and he went by and saw my car in the parking lot.
Oh.
And so that's how I wasn't that I chose to come out, I was kind of forced to come out. But then there was all these questions, and so, the bottom line ended up being that, my mother finally said, I may not understand this because it's different from how I grew up. She goes, but you're my child.
That's good to know.
And I think that is how you have to express. If you are, and I know this is kind of a funny thing to say, but if you're like growing up in Texas and your family's a rancher, and you're all the time, your business is, your whole lives revolve around raising cattle and slaughtering cattle for beef, but you're a vegetarian. How would it be like for your family to disown you because you were a vegetarian?
Yeah.
Now, a little different there is you have a choice about being a vegetarian versus eating meat, but it's kind of on that same concept, is that this is something I have no control over.
Yeah.
And whether people too many times link my identity with sex, and so and think that, oh, it's about sex, it's about sex, where if I never have sex with another person, again, I'm still a gay man, because I am attracted.
That's your feelings.
That's my feelings and stuff, and so those are things that you don't have control over. So I think that, it is something that, with it being an older generation, I think it's just about, realizing that that's their child.
Yes.
And most parents will do anything for their children, and so why should one little thing that child has no control over all of a sudden make you want to disown them or throw them out of the house?
Yeah.
We still have that going on, though. We still have it going on, and
Yes.
and even with our teenagers, and that is why, like the suicide rate is so much higher in our young LGBTQI community versus youth that identify as heterosexual, because there's such a stigma and such a shame that people put on that.
Yeah.
And so I think it's about just parents that, you know, if you are a parent and you have a child that has come out to you, whether it be you've known for a long time but they've never actually said anything, you've never had a conversation about that, there's nothing wrong with having a conversation and actually saying, I don't understand this, please explain. We're all ignorant about something at some point in our life. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that you're ignorant about something and wanting to know more
yeah,
information.
of course. Yeah, that's right.
You know, and I think that that's what it's about, that compassion and empathy. You may not be able to understand that, but you can have empathy for somebody having to go through something that, you know, why would somebody choose a lifestyle that's going to cause them all of these attacks that's happening right now in our community? And so it's just about having those conversations and asking.
True. Yeah. So, perhaps, I mean, did you have an unforgettable negative experience as LGBTQ, I mean, coming out, and that did you wish it didn't happen to you, or you don't wish it happens to other people?
Yes, actually, this was several years ago. I mean, I lived over off of, I've always kind of lived off the east side of town, and so I was living off of Sahara. And the grocery store was really close to where I was working, but in between where I lived and the grocery store is Commercial Center, which is, there's several gay bars there. And I was walking to the grocery store one night, and there was a person walking on the street also, because I had walked down there, and they were like, hey, is that a gay bar right there? And I'm like, well, it has a gay pride flag, I guess it is. And then he said, oh, do you go there? And I said, well, no, and I kept walking. And then he said, oh, and he started yelling a whole bunch of slurs and stuff, and actually went to hit me with a lead pipe.
Oh, wow.
And so basically mugged me and took my wallet and stuff, and the whole time was yelling those slurs and stuff like that. And so, you know, and then when the police were involved, so that was traumatic as well. But then when the police were involved to file a police report, at the time, the police it was really an odd thing, because they were like, well, what did you say to them? And, you know, were you coming out of the gay bar? Is it, you know, they were kind of actually acting like I had instigated the whole thing.
Oh.
And so, I hope that no one ever has to go through anything like that, but I also hope that no one ever has to deal with, when they're in a situation that's traumatic, and they're dealing with someone in a position of authority, whether it be paramedics or police, that they should never have to
insult
justify why something happened to them, or defend why something happened to them. So
it's true. That's a good example. Thank you, Chris. So June is Pride Month, and I was able to visit your booth at the baseball field. So what other events did you have, like, every year, so at least people can look forward to?
So it is a kind of a June is Pride Month, and so we had there was a lot of events throughout the month. You know, we're very happy to see that the Las Vegas Aviators held a Pride Night, and that's where we were at when we visited the booth. And then the following night, the Aces, the basketball team, had a Pride Night as well. They do those every year in the month. And then there's different fundraisers that happen for different organizations throughout the month. June, of course, here in Las Vegas is usually incredibly hot.
It is,
and so they don't always have a lot of outdoor events like that. But Henderson Quality Center put on Henderson Pride Fest on Saturday, and it was an all-day event at Sunset Park. So it was a beautiful day to be outside. The weather was so nice, and around the trees and the grass, and so they had a lot of entertainment there and a lot of booths for people, and the event was free for people. So that was something that I always look forward to. And then they had a bingo night at different town places. They do Pride Bingo. They had a Pride art exhibit, and then they had Pride bowling. So there's a lot of different events that go on. And so what I would say to people is, if you comes around June of next year and you want to know what's going on, is to really look at, like, what events the center is doing, what events like Las Vegas Pride, Henderson Equality Project is doing, and those are some organizations here to really look to see what they're doing for the month.
Oh yeah, nice to know. Give us the schedule so we can advertise it here in MariaCares.
We will do that.
Okay. So, well, in your booth, there you have a banner that says Prevolution. So can I ask you to explain what Prevolution is?
Yes. So one of the things that, because we've made a lot of advances in HIV, and HIV has been around since 1981 is when we first heard about this new disease that later came to be known as HIV. One of the advances is something called PrEP. PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis, and basically it is a medication that a person that is HIV negative can take that will prevent them from getting HIV.
That's good.
And so it's kind of a play on terms. So it's join the Prevolution. So it's the whole program is about getting people to access PrEP, to understand the importance of being tested for to know their HIV status. And if they are negative, then PrEP is a way to help them maintain that HIV negative status. And so the Prevolution program navigates people to testing, resources for PrEP, because some people think about how the expense of the medication is.
Oh yeah.
We can help people get the medication. It's usually, if people don't have insurance, how do they pay for the testing and the doctor's visit? But there's a lot of programs that are now helping with that, and so the whole program is really geared to the community in general to say, if you're interested in ways to stay HIV negative, then we can help you with that. And we can talk to you about that. So whether it be making sure they have condoms available, whether they know where to get tested at, and then also if they want to take PrEP, they can. And we have now a daily pill that you can take. We have 3 different medications for that. This is 1 pill once a day. Or we have a new medication that's called Apretude. That's actually an injection that a person gets every 2 months. So they don't have to take a pill, they just go to their doctor and get an injection every 2 months. All of those, the pill or the injection, when it's used the way it's prescribed, it's over 99% effective in preventing HIV.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And I should say that now that I said the brand name of the drug, Apretude, I do not work for Vive Health Company, who is the one who creates that medication. I do not work for them.
And then, how can they avail themselves for this type of drug, like you mentioned, the Apretude? And
so if they have any questions, they can always call me at 725-244-7178.
Okay.
That's a direct line. They can leave messages, they can do texting with that if they want more information, and then we can call them back. They also can do, it's prepvolution.com, spelled out, so that's a website. They can learn just more education about that. The number on the website currently is our 1-800 number, which goes to our pharmacy located in Texas, because that's a program for outside of Nevada. For inside Nevada is the 725-244-7178 number.
Please give us more information on some issues and other like events that we were not able to cover.
Okay. So not only is June Pride Month, but June 27th is National HIV Testing Day.
June 27th, okay.
And June 27th, and we're doing a social media campaign. So you'll see things on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all over. And I will send the information to you that we're doing over 12 different locations throughout the Las Vegas Valley where people can go and access free rapid HIV testing.
Okay,
so they know their status. And they'll be able to get information about PrEP at all those locations throughout the valley. And then also, even though June is International Pride Month, because of the heat here in Las Vegas, sometimes during June, Las Vegas Pride, which is called SNAPI, the Southern Nevada Associated Pride Incorporated, does a Pride event in October. So look for that. It'll be October 6th and 7th. Which is a Friday and Saturday. Friday is the parade downtown, and then Saturday is actually the festival at Craig Ranch Park. So people that want to attend that, there is a fee to go to that festival. I don't know what the fee is this year, but they can always check out that. They just put in Las Vegas Pride in a search engine. They can find that information.
Okay, that's good. But if you have a flyer, we can...
Okay, I will make sure that I will get you all that information.
Thank you, Chris. So thank you so much for all the work you do for the LGBTQ community.
Thank you.
Let's find out if you qualify for Medicare. Well, just to give you a little bit of background, of course, I mean, this is for some people who was not able to see my show. I would prefer to just repeat some information. Well, Medicare is a federal health insurance program for people who are 65 and over. Some people under 65 may qualify for Medicare due to an illness or disability. There are many ways to find out if you qualify for Medicare. So, the first slide is, if you decide to retire early, you start receiving your Social Security retirement benefits as early as 62. However, you get your Medicare card months before your 65th birthday. If you don't want Medicare, you still might get enrolled anyways when you turn 60, before you turn 65. If you're already getting Social Security benefits when you become eligible for Medicare, you're enrolled automatically. I'm repeating myself, but I mean, it makes sense to repeat. So you can voluntarily end your Medicare Part B coverage because Medicare Part B is optional. But then, if there are times, I mean, when there comes a time that you need it, I mean, it's hard to apply and you'll get penalty. Well, people who go back to their native land when they retire, for example, Philippines. I have a client who told me he will retire at 62 and doesn't intend to get his Medicare coverage. I told him, the reason you have Medicare Part B is because you earned it. You go back, when you go back to the Philippines and later in life you will need medical coverage, you will pay penalty for each year you didn't pay for your coverage. I have encouraged him. I have encountered a lot of cases wherein they disenroll themselves to Part B since it is optional. Please remember that Part B is the medical side of Medicare. Then, when you need it, and to see a doctor or a specialist, a chiropractor, I mean, that needs Part B coverage. You will have to wait for GEP, General Enrollment Period, to get Part B your Part B coverage back, and that is March 1st. I mean, January 1st to March 31st. So, I mean, what if your illness is beyond that date? Then what are you going to do? So for some, they need to undergo dialysis wherein it is an outpatient. You will still use your Part B coverage. Besides, if you have Medicare Advantage, your emergency hospitalization can be covered by a Medicare Advantage plan while you were abroad. So, give me a call so I can help you get some money back for your Medicare Part B while you are in another country. So, the next one is, are you disabled? The law defines disability as the inability to engage in a substantial gainful activity by reason of any medically determinable physical or medical impairments which can be expected to result in death or which has lasted or can be expected to last a continuous period of not less than 12 months. So that's how, I mean, if you're disabled, that's the definition, and you could get your Medicare, okay? So now, if you're turning 65, you can get Part A, Part B, or Part D. Okay, so it's complete. So, when you are turning 65, you are entering what is called the Initial Enrollment Period, or IEP, as what we call it. I mean, if you heard of IEP, that's the your initial enrollment period. You have to enroll in the 7-month period that begins 3 months before the month of your 65th birthday and the month of your birthday and ends 3 months after your 65th birthday. Generally, you're first eligible to sign up for Parts A and B when you're turning 65. And of course, you have to enroll with Part D. Don't forget. If you don't sign up when you're first eligible, you have to wait to sign up during the GEP, General Enrollment Period, and go months without coverage. So it happens January 1st to March 31st of the following year. There's no excuse not to enroll in Medicare when you turn 65. Seniors are generally advised to sign up on time to avoid penalties and could be quite costly over the course of your retirement, okay? So make sure it's mandated. Let me remind you that Medicare is a law. So, do you have employer coverage? Most people have the benefit of enrolling in a Medicare Part A at age 65 when they continue to work. There are no premiums, and by enrolling with Medicare Part A will help you avoid gaps in coverage down the road. If you have health insurance from the company that employs 20 or more people where you or your spouse actively work, you can delay enrolling in Medicare until the employment ends or coverage stops, whichever occurs first. You are entitled to a special enrollment period, SEP, to sign up for Medicare before or within 8 months of losing that job coverage to avoid late enrollment penalty. Large employers with at least 20 employees must offer you and your spouse the same benefits they offer younger employees and their spouses. And in this situation, if you're not the employer, you can decide whether to accept the employer health plan and delay Medicare enrollment, or decline employer coverage and rely wholly on Medicare, have employer coverage and Medicare at the same time. Okay? But, I would advise, it is to your best interest to at least get your Part A since there's no premium involved. You don't have to pay any premium for Part A since you already earned it. Next is loss of employer coverage. You have 8 months to enroll in the Medicare once you stop working or your employer coverage ends, so whichever comes first. But you may want to plan and contact Social Security before your employer coverage ends so you don't have a gap in coverage. In most cases, you should enroll in Medicare before losing job-based insurance to avoid gaps in coverage. Remember, even if you use the special enrollment period to avoid late enrollment penalty, you may still be responsible for the health care costs you incur in the months after losing job-based coverage before your Medicare coverage takes effect. So, if you are a resident for 5 years and a green card holder, you are entitled to a Part B coverage if you have 5 years of residency. If you hold a green card and you may be wondering if you're eligible for Medicare, well, I'm telling you this, you are entitled to your Medicare Part B, and you have to get Part D. So you may have to be age 65 or older, be a U.S. resident, or be an alien who has been lawfully admitted or permanent resident and has been residing in the United States for continuously 5 years as a permanent resident, you may qualify for Medicare. So, but the thing is, you have to be continuously living in the United States for the last 5 years, okay? The next slide is less than 5 years legal resident. Lawfully present immigrants can purchase coverage through the ACA marketplace. So the ACA is Affordable Care Act. So you can get an Affordable Care Act, and that would be your coverage if you are over 65, less than 5 years in the United States, but you have lawful stay, okay, legal stay. So, like citizens, they can get tax credit and help you pay for premium costs and other cost sharing that varies on a sliding scale based on income, okay? So it's based on I'm also a health insurance agent, and it's based on age and income. So it's not based on your zip code, okay? So just don't be like, oh, you're scared to apply. I mean, you just give me a call and I'm going to help you, okay? VA is veterans benefits. So you could either get the Part A, I mean, not either. I mean, you could really get the Part A, Part B, and you have an additional VA coverage. So if you have VA health benefits and qualify for Medicare at age 65, you can be enrolled in both plans at the same time. In fact, the VA strongly encourages veterans without employer-sponsored insurance to sign up for Medicare Parts A and B as soon as they qualify. TRICARE. So TRICARE is people who retired as in the military service. So most people in TRICARE have their TRICARE coverage, and they have the Part A and Part B of Medicare. So most people with TRICARE who become Medicare eligible and get Medicare Parts A must also enroll in Part B to be able to remain eligible. Part B is not required to maintain eligibility. Why? Because you're going to get their prescription through the TRICARE program. I know they already know about this, but this is education. This program is educational, and it's for old people. And because I hear a lot of people having misconception about a lot of things about Medicare, so this is just some nuggets for you. So when you're a tourist, what are you going to do? I mean, like you don't have a status, sad to say, or you may be new immigrants are not eligible for Medicare. They can get the private pay health insurance or go to a pre-clinic. So I'm sorry, you're not eligible for Medicare regardless of your age, you know. Once immigrants meet the residency requirement, once you become an immigrant and meet the residency requirements, eligibility and enrollment works the same times as it does for others. However, you can enroll in a private insurance or go to a private pay patients in health clinics. Okay? Diabetes is a chronic, long-lasting health condition that affects how your body turns food into energy. With diabetes, your body doesn't make enough insulin or can't use it as well as it should. When there is enough insulin, or cells stop responding to insulin, too much blood sugar stays in your bloodstream, and over time, it can cause serious health problems such as heart disease, vision loss, and kidney disease. Those are the major things that affected by diabetes. There isn't really a cure yet, but losing weight, eating healthy food, and being active can really help. So I found this video that will give you foods to avoid if you have diabetes. Please watch it.
Uncontrolled diabetes has many serious consequences, including heart disease, kidney disease, blindness, and other complications. Prediabetes has also been linked to these conditions, so in this video I'm looking at 5 foods that those with diabetes and prediabetes should avoid. When people with diabetes and prediabetes consume too many carbohydrates at one time, which are broken down into sugar, this can cause dangerous spikes or rises in blood sugar levels. So to prevent large blood sugar spikes and prevent diabetes complications, it's important to avoid the following foods whenever possible. Number 1, sugar-sweetened beverages. Sugary beverages are the worst drink choice for someone with diabetes. To begin with, they are very high in carbs, with a 12-ounce or 354 ml can of soda providing 38 grams of sugar. The same amount of sweetened iced tea and lemonade each contain 36 grams of carbs, exclusively from sugar as well. In addition, they're loaded with fructose, which is strongly linked to insulin resistance and diabetes in the context of excess calories. Now, indeed, studies suggest that consuming sugar-sweetened beverages may increase the risk of diabetes-related conditions like fatty liver. In one study of overweight and obese adults, consuming 25% of calories from high fructose beverages on a weight maintaining diet led to increased insulin resistance and belly fat, a lower metabolic rate, and worse heart health markers. To help control blood sugar levels and even prevent disease risk, drink water, club soda, even artificially sweetened drinks instead of sugary drinks. Number 2, fruit juice. I want to highlight that fruit juice is not really a healthy beverage, nor is it a suitable alternative for other sugar sweetened beverages. This is because the fruit sugar is concentrated when juiced, so you end up drinking a lot more fruit than you could ever possibly eat. 8 ounces or 250 mils of unsweetened apple juice contains 24 grams of sugar, which is the same as a soda. Fruit should really be consumed in its whole form, where it still contains fiber and the amount of sugar is much lower. Now, a much better alternative to juice is water with a wedge of lemon, which provides less than 1 gram of carbs and is virtually calorie free. Number 3, dried fruit. It may seem like I'm bashing fruit here, but I'm not. Fruit is a great source of nutrients and is healthy. But when fruit is dried out, the sugar content becomes much more concentrated, much like with juices. For example, 1 cup of grapes contains 27 grams of carbs, including a gram of fiber. Now, by contrast, 1 cup of raisins contains 115 grams of carbs and 5 grams of fiber. That's equivalent to about 20 teaspoons of sugar. Other types of dried fruit are similarly high in carbs when compared to fresh fruit. So know that if you have diabetes, you don't have to give up fruit altogether. Sticking with low sugar fruits like fresh berries or a small apple can provide health benefits while keeping your blood sugar in the target range. Number 4, honey, agave nectar, and maple syrup. People with diabetes often try to minimize their intake of white table sugar, regular sugar, but there's other types of sugars that can cause blood sugar spikes as well. Below are the carb counts of 1 tablespoon serving of popular sugar alternatives. So white sugar has 12.6 grams, agave nectar would have 16 grams of sugar, honey has 17 grams of sugar, and maple syrup has 13 grams of sugar in 1 tablespoon. So you can see that in terms of the amount of carbs, or more specifically sugar, they are certainly not better choices, and in fact can be worse. Agave nectar for sure, which is unnaturally high in fructose. The best strategy is to avoid all types of added sugar where possible and to use low carb sweeteners instead. Number 5, white bread, pasta, and rice. These foods are all somewhat processed, high carb foods. Eating bread, bagels, and other refined flour foods has been shown to significantly increase blood sugar levels in people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And this response isn't exclusive to wheat products. In one study, gluten-free pastas were also shown to raise blood sugar, with rice-based types having the greatest effect. The problem is, not only are these foods carb dense, but they also contain such little amounts of fiber, which helps to slow down the digestion process and slow down the speed at which carbs are turned into sugar and absorbed into our blood. If you really need to eat these foods, eat them in small portions and try to choose high fiber options where you can, like rye bread and brown rice. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you found it informative, and don't forget to subscribe to the Authority Nutrition YouTube channel by clicking the red subscribe button.
Here's a question asked to me by a client. Actually, these are some of the questions I gathered through the years, and that would be helpful for you to know, okay? So here's the question of one of my clients. I went to the Social Security Administration office and I applied for Medicare. The lady said I will get my Medicare Part A and I will get my Medicare Part B in February 24. So she asked, why didn't she give me my Medicare Part B coverage? First, I asked how old she is. She said 67. My next question was, how long has she been in the United States? And then my third question was, did you contribute 10 years towards your Medicare coverage? After all the questions, she is qualified to get Medicare Part A and Part B. That's why she was given the Part A, right? However, it is mandated that you enroll in Medicare before you turn 65. And remember, her age is 67. The reason she was not given Medicare Part B coverage is because she passed her IEP, initial enrollment period, and that is before you turn 65. IEP is a total of 7 months. It's 3 months before you turn 65, on the month of your birthday and 3 months after your birth month. If you miss your IEP, you would have to enroll during the GEP, General Enrollment Period. And GEP happens every first quarter of the year, from January 1st to March 31st. The Social Security Administration representative said she will get her Part B coverage in February. But she was not told that she has to apply in January so she can get her Part B coverage in February. So I told her she must go back to the Social Security Administration to apply for Part B. Remember, I showed some slides before how to apply by mail, but it's better to go visit the office. So because she missed her IEP and GEP for 2 years, sad to say, she may incur some penalties since she did not enroll in Medicare Part B when she was first eligible. Likewise, there will be a penalty for Medicare Part B. But Part D rather, for drugs, because it goes hand in hand. If you would recall, if you have a Part A, you have to get Part D. If you have Part B, you have to get Part D. If you have both, you have to get Part D. Well, the penalty for Part B is 10% each year, and the penalty for Part D is 1% each year you miss your enrollment. Okay? So that would be like around $40 more, something like that, give or take. Okay? So we'll go to the next question. I'm still working, so I didn't enroll in Medicare. Do I really have to enroll? Or, let's put it this way. Do I really have to enroll in Medicare if I'm still working and I have a group health insurance? You are not obligated to enroll in Medicare if you still have group health insurance. However, if you have completed your contribution to Medicare, it is for your best interest to get Medicare Part A. Medicare Part A is for hospital coverage, and there is no obligation for you to have, and there is no obligation, no premium rather. No premium once you have completed your 10 years of contribution. Nowadays, the deductible for health insurance coverage has gone up. For example, if you have $13,000 deductible with your group health insurance, when you get hospitalized, you can use Medicare Part A to cover your hospitalization, and you will only pay a deductible of $1,600 for 2023. How about that? So it's just like 10%. So you save a lot of money if you have your Medicare Part A. Okay. So the last question: can I use Medicare if I go to another country? Medicare is a federal health insurance program for people 65 and older, or for people with disabilities. So by saying federal, that means within the country. When you go abroad, you cannot use your original Medicare card since it is a federal health insurance card. However, if you enroll in Medicare Advantage plan, you transfer your health insurance coverage to a private insurance company that CMS means the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, has appointed. That means the private health insurance carrier you enrolled with is responsible for covering your Medicare Parts A, B, and most plans includes Medicare Part D, wherein if you travel abroad, your emergency is covered. Well, it's time for me to wrap up my show. I would like to thank Chris Reynolds for spending his precious time with me, or with us, of course, with you as well, to talk about his role in the LGBTQ community. He has shared a very important knowledge about how he works as a LGBTQ navigator, and of course helping the people at the center or the LGBTQ community. It is always a pleasure to be of assistance with you, with your Medicare concerns, and rest assured, I'm here to continue enriching your Medicare knowledge. I would like to send my love, hugs, and kisses to my clients, and for those who need a reliable agent, I'm looking forward to be a part of your Medicare journey. I'll see you on another episode of Maria Cares Senior Info Guide. Take care of your health. That's the only one you got. Let's join hands to a better health.